funded, some may be general fund,
Yeah.
mostly the SPARK grant and other, yeah.
I think on the one bus we're talking about, there might be a little use of funds, but I don't think that, we got to bid it out and see. So.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next would be the Good Neighbor program. That's our demolition program for blighted structures. We have funding currently $30,000 for this fiscal year, and we're proposing another $30,000 for next year. Fish and Loaves submitted a proposal. They've been funded in the past here in the city of Taylor. They do very good work with their food pantry and other services to Taylor residents. And the proposal was for $10,000, and we are proposing $10,000 for Fish and Loaves. The Guidance Center also serves some Taylor residents. They submitted a proposal for $10,000, and we are going to do $10,000 hopefully for them as well. They do a lot of support services for Taylor residents. The Senior Alliance, they also submitted a proposal, and we are also going to propose to fund them at $10,000 as well this upcoming year. And they do many senior service activities, and they have been funded in the past with CDB dollars here in Taylor as well. Also proposed by the Recreation Department in the Ford Senior Center was to replace the boiler and water heater. That was $105,000, and we are proposing to do that in the upcoming year at $105,000. Also proposed, there were many street projects proposed, approximately 7 or 8 by the DPW, and it was great that we got those proposals. Unfortunately, we can't fund all of those in 1 year, and we chose the West Point Street resurfacing project, similar to the McGuire Street project that was just approved a few weeks ago or last month. We're proposing, and they proposed an amount to do that, $148,958, and we are proposing to cover that in our budget, $148,958. Last but not least,
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Councilman Johnson.
Oh,
I'm sorry, on that West Point project,
Mhm.
could you give me the streets between?
certainly that would be off of Van Born, and then between Van Born and I-94 in that subdivision there.
West Point was the whole length of the city, so.
Yeah, right, just in that section there, on the, that would be the north, or the south of Van Born and east of Telegraph, that area there. Thank you. Last but not least would be our administration portion of the budget. That is capped at 20%, so we take 20% of the grant amount plus the estimated program income, and that would be $96,716. That goes towards salaries and administration of the CDBG program and community development staff. That would total the $483,580, which is the total available funding for the upcoming year. This will be available with the draft action plan beginning tomorrow for 30 days. And we open that up, that's per HUD regulations. It's a 30-day comment period, which will run from tomorrow through May 5th. And that period is open for any public comment. There'll be information, you can contact myself, and you can, with your public comments, that's for the next 30 days. So we'll be able to review this. The draft proposed budget is not technically written in stone, but it's the closest we can get to doing our budget. We feel that this is a pretty solid proposed budget. It can be tweaked, it can be worked on, but we do have some middle deadlines that we have to do with HUD. So eventually there's a time when we have to decide on the actual budget, and that will be done on, I believe it's May 16th, the second meeting in May, when we will have another public hearing, adoption. So we will have the final budget at that meeting and ready to go for your approval, hopefully. And after that period of public comment and the second public hearing. So that's my presentation on behalf of the city of Taylor. Thank you for everybody that proposed projects. We feel this is a good upcoming year for CDBG. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilwoman Brandon?
So if someone wanted to make a comment, how do they do that to this within the 30 days? You may have already said it, but I was hoping.
Yeah, they can email me directly. They can submit it to the mayor's office. My email address is ready, available, and that's on all the announcements and on the website. And they can do it in writing. They can submit it, they can mail it, they can drop off that at my office or any way they feel is the best way and easiest for them. We will take those public comments.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the council? Councilman Ramik?
Can you give me the admin fees again? What did we charge off this that comes in?
Well, this, again, through the chair, this would be the 20% of the grant plus the estimated program income. So that comes to $96,716 is the capped maximum amount that we can spend for admin purposes out of the upcoming grant year.
What is the size of your staff at this time?
I have myself, director, Paula Fisher is a rehab coordinator, and she spends about half of her time between community development and then the other half on the economic development. And we have a part-time staff, Nikki Hartley, and she also spends about 50% of her time in community development, 50% in economic development.
So those fees are all split among those other locations in the city where they work out of, or do they all come out of your funding?
Through the chair, can you clarify a little bit? I'm not, yeah.
You said Mrs. Fisher works part-time?
Could just one point?
Yeah.
No names of the
I'm sorry.
employees. Let's talk about,
Okay.
full-time equivalent, half-time
Staff, community development staff.
Okay, what portion of your staff that is split from another portion away from you, okay, is funded out of your budget? Or does the one person that we just talked about, how is it funded? How is that person funded? Through what?
If I could clarify,
Yeah.
what he's asking is half the head funded through CDBG and the other half is funded through economic development
Through the chair, yes, for both.
for both?
To include the other two employees that work part-time? Where's the
There's
money?
one through the chair, one's a full-time position, the other one's a part-time position.
Okay, so the
Their
part-time.
pays are 50% either or out of CDBG and 50% out of economic development.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the council? Per federal law, this is a public hearing. Are there any interested parties? Please come forward.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Council, Mayor, and everyone else. Good evening. I know a lot of people hear about the Community Development Grant, and I don't know how right Mr. Klimchalk later, I didn't hear anything about the parks in it this time. But anyway, I just want to give an overall view of what this grant is. Community Development Block Grant, one of the largest grant programs in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, funds local community development activities with the stated goal of providing affordable housing, anti-poverty programs, and infrastructure development. Okay, so proposed CDBG projects must be consistent with the broad national priorities for CDBG. Activities that benefit low and moderate income people, prevention of elimination of slums or blight, or other community development activities to address an urgent threat to health or safety. CDBG funds may be used for community development activities, such as real estate acquisition, relocation, demolition, rehabilitation of housing and commercial buildings, construction of public facilities improvements such as water, sewer, other utilities, street paving and sidewalks, construction and maintenance of neighborhood centers, and the conversion of school buildings, public service and economic development, and job creation retention activities. CDBG funds can also be used for preservation and restoration of historic properties in low-income neighborhoods. Excuse me. From the federal level, the Department of Housing and Urban Development has set 3 goals for community planning: to ensure decent housing, to create and maintain a suitable living environment, to expand economic opportunities that are taken directly from the Housing and Community Development Act. On the local level, however, each city is allowed to select their own objectives and priorities underneath each of these goals, which they believe will best meet the needs of the community, which Taylor does. But I had one question. I didn't hear anything about the parks. I guess I'll have to write you, sir.
I can answer through the chair.
Go right ahead.
In our current budget right now, we have $500,000 set aside for park improvements. We have some projects on the table right now we're working on, so we do have money in this year's budget for $500,000. And we have some unspent funds from previous years that we're in the process of bidding out and spending. So that's almost $1 million we have in parks right now. So we had money there already, so this year we did not have a park improvement in this year's budget, but we do have money in place for that right now, and we're working on those projects right now.
Okay. Through the chair, sir, what plans do we have in our parks for ADA improvement? They talked one time about creating a park in Heritage Park for people with disabilities. Any plans for that this year?
Through the chair.
Mr. Mayor.
I've talked about that for many years. In the progress right now, the Lang Park that we're doing, it will have ADA compliant swings, and we're looking at a wheelchair swing for that as well. And it has the mom and me swing and stuff. And we're actually, that's part of the project we're talking about at Heritage Park. Because when we do that, we have to put in a certain type of ground or flooring there. So we're trying to figure out where we're going to do that, and we're going to